So I'll just first talk about something which is extremely important, and I think everyone mentioned about it in some capacity, that India as a society today, I think we have three core issues that we are combating in the landscape of education. One is inequity. Second is the fragile knowledge society that we have, and then also the depleting human capital. And somewhere we feel, and we have understood, I am speaking as a practitioner here, that although India's total population is about 1.3 billion, and we are home to, the largest number of children in the world, we are also home to about half of the population belonging to disadvantaged groups. And somewhere the gap in education that we are seeing needs to be addressed through this NEP 2020. And I think the revision in the curriculum, where I believe Dr. Shakila ma'am, Dr. Joseph sir, as well as Dr. Jayaprakash sir, all mentioned about including inclusivity, diversity, and equity, and that can be beautifully done through life skills. And why we are talking about life skills today in this capacity in the NEP 2020 as well as in this forum is because life skills education is the only education pedagogy or curriculum, whatever we want to call it, because it can be used interchangeably, is important to equip young people and adolescents as well as young children to thrive in school, thrive in work, and thrive in life. When I was hearing Dr. Shakila ma'am, she did mention that, the children who will pass out of school education system, now, who are in school today, are going to come into a world which is going to be much, much different. And for that, we need a transformative, curriculum. And at Magic Plus India Foundation, what we are doing at this time is we are kind of clubbing life skills with sustainable development goals. We are also clubbing it with sports. We are clubbing it with academics, especially with foundational learning and numeracy, where we are trying to say that life skills becomes rather an outcome. It becomes the journey through which children find social emotional learning as a method in which they can then find purpose in learning, take pride in who they are. There is a sense of belonging, there is a sense of achievement, and through that they get future ready. Now, future ready can actually be seen in two ways. One, where the person is future ready for work, and also where the person is future ready for life. A future ready for work is employability, which we all know, but future ready for life is something that we have just experienced firsthand, because we did not anticipate a COVID-like situation. And I think the adversity quotient that we have seen in children, where they have shown resilience, they have shown empathy, they have shown, the power to overcome, diverse and difficult situations. That is a learning. And we have always, I think, as educators also, in the classroom practice, we have ended up talking to children as lesser beings. We need to start treating them more as individuals, as thinking individuals. And I think Dr. Jayaprakash beautifully mentioned that he and SCRT Kerala is taking the thoughts and the viewpoints of children into context with NCF and NEP 2020 framing that is happening there. So if that is replicated in more states, that's going to be wonderful. So to talk about how I and Magic Bus, we are seeing life skills is that we are, seeing it synonymous to good education. And India, with its strong historical, thought leadership in education through Tagore, through Aurobindo, through Gandhi, we have seen that we have constantly had thinkers and educationists talking about freedom and creativity, talking about integral education, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, all interdependent, as well as talking of self-reliance, work-based education, active citizenship. And through that, I think life skills education can actually enable young people to learn, to earn, and to further contribute back into the society, to the economy, as well as, even more importantly, to their local communities. I think something that NEP 2020 beautifully weaves into the curriculum that is going to come up now is that the local community is the center of everything that we are doing. And that is quite significant, because if I go back to the Nai Talim that Gandhiji had professed, we have seen how he's talking about Swaraj, how he's talking about village economy. And towards self-reliance, I think that in NEP 2020 is an interesting part. Dr. Shakila also mentioned about NEP being transformative. So transformative life skills approach needs to have three core practices, which needs to be taken into account when we are looking at NCF 2022. One, at the core needs to be the child. Then there has to be the classroom, the education system, and youth skilling, which Dr. Joseph Sir beautifully mentioned, that the classroom practice has to be there, the upskilling of teachers have to be there, the upskilling of children have to be there, and a complete competency-based education, constant monitoring of education, as well as a holistic evaluation of children has to be there. And at the same time, we need to go back and see how these children, along with the schools, are contributing to the community, are contributing to the society, and largely contributing to the state. To do that, I just want to mention a few points here. One, we need to see sustainable changes in an individual, and we need to see sustainable changes in the ecosystem. A lot of times, what as practitioner I have observed is we do come up with many, transformative methods. However, in the longer run, what happens is these transformative methods get lost, and we fall back into the same familiarity, because the system is an age-old system. Although it is progressive, yet we do know that there is a strong background, because we as educationists and educators today will not understand what a child in 2035 or 2040 is going to go through. However, we always will tend to fall back to what we are familiar with, which is a system that we are a product of. And that has to be a constant check and balance. When I mention that we need to, have these sustainable changes, we need to make sure that all the changes that we are mentioning in the curriculum are sustainable, and in the longer run, they have to be replicated in the system so that it becomes in sync with the system. So the fluidity of the changes also has to be maintained. We also need to understand the lives of the young people today. Our lived experiences are way different than what the lived experiences of children today are, and what their lived experiences are going to be. We also need to work towards democratic classrooms. We do talk about democracy in the country. However, if we observe classrooms very, with a lot of apathy, we will see that the classrooms are the least democratic spaces where a child grows up. We need to consciously make the classrooms democratic, the schools democratic, and probably through a trickle-down theory, we'll see the communities becoming more democratic. So active citizenship is going to come in from the classrooms and the homes to a certain extent. Social action projects where many more ground level work needs to be done, and a partnership has to be seen with the CSOs and the not-for-profits, where we can be, because we are working with communities, we are working with ground level workers, our insights can actually help the curriculum from the underserved communities perspective grow. When we are talking about diversity, when we are talking about inclusivity, equity, those ground level experiences that we bring in, that can also be taken into account. And the underserved community children should also be made a conscious part of the curriculum, because I am sure that we know that communication plays a huge impact when we see children communicating. And Dr. Jaiprakash can actually enlighten me more on that, that when students from, marginalized backgrounds, they come up and they get an agency of voice, I think we get to hear a large number of problems, a large number of systemic gaps that needs to be filled up. So that can actually be an insight that we need to look into. Sustainable livelihoods is something that can be merged into the classroom curriculum. And I think in NEP 2020 already talks about local artisans, indigenous artisans coming into the classrooms and talking about sustainable livelihoods. But at the same time, I am not quite sure, so I'm just opening this for discussion. If we can have livelihoods which is more eco-friendly, which is more sustainable, and engage children to be more career aware towards these livelihoods. Because even today, when we are doing parent sessions, we do hear that a parent wants the child to be a doctor, engineer, or a professor, teacher. And then there are those gender gaps in the roles also that are assigned to different people. Roles here, I mean jobs. Certain jobs are very specifically selected for specific genders. So we need to break that also. And we need to help through a structured curriculum, just the way that we have core structured curriculum for English, science, social sciences, and other subjects. I think we need a structured curriculum for life skills also, where we focus on developing of self-confidence, resilience, agency, and empowerment. And what we can then look into is that we can look into making this curriculum thematic and on 7 core life skills, where we talk about self-awareness, creativity, interpersonal skills, communication, collaboration, thinking skills, and problem solving. What is going to happen when we talk about these core life skills is that Dr. Joseph Emmanuel sir actually mentioned that we are today understanding the importance of 21st century skills. However, there is a dichotomy here that I want to bring forth, that we are understanding the 21st century learner. We are understanding the 21st century skills and the 21st century curriculum, but are we understanding and also developing the 21st century teacher? So when we are designing CPDs for our teachers, which came across multiple times as a core doability for all of us in the system, we need to focus that we engage and empower our teachers to understand 21st century skills and also do consistent refreshers for them so that they can then talk to these children about 21st century skills. Something which I do not demonstrate, I will only be a preacher. I think demonstrative learning, which is quite on the top of the learning pyramid, needs to be demonstrated by the teachers. There's a lot of importance that needs to be given to peer education. And that's where I kind of rest my conversation, and I'm going to talk more in the discussions that we will have. But 7 or 10 core life skills, definite focus on digital literacy, definite focus on financial literacy, make children aware of finance, investment, loan, banking systems from a very early childhood, definitely incorporate sexual and reproductive health in the earliest children, so that we talk about body, we talk about body ownership, we talk about body agency, we talk about good touch, bad touch, from a very early childhood, so that when the child becomes an adolescent, there is no shame, there is no sudden, surprise element. And we also need to make sure that all of this gets integrated into the effluent skills that we are bringing in to the child's life, so that it doesn't overburden the child, it doesn't overburden the teacher in the system, and it doesn't overburden the entire system with more evaluation and assessment. However, life skills integrated into the curriculum needs to be assessed also. So we do need a very observation-based life skills tool for all states as well as for the center, where we talk about teachers not only looking at children from those exam sheets, but also looking at their behavior, their mood, their communication, how they are interacting with with others, as well as observe so keenly that we also get to see how they're interacting with their own heart and soul and mind. And those early detections can actually come in handy.